Oh boy, guys, I've just gotten my box from Synth, and you can probably tell I'm pretty excited. Now, I just wanted to open it up and sort of take inventory. Alright, well, let's get this guy open. Whew. It's jam-packed, look at that. Well, one thing's first, here we go. So this is Erica Synth's Swamp. There's a theme going on, swamp things here. Now, this is the only module that I didn't really want to build myself because I checked it out and I think the circuit's pretty complicated. There's some specialty parts in here, and I just want to put it together and use it. Then of course they're having a promotion, so I've got my own Synth t-shirt now. Maybe I'll wear that in a video or something. That's really nice. I was already planning on getting the Erica Synth Swamp, so yeah, again, very nice. Alright, well, that was more of the exciting stuff, but we got some stuff I need to get stuff on a roll. So these are just blank slates that already pre-drilled, so I can drill into, have it all lined up nicely. Then there's just an assortment of pieces I've really needed. Actually, I think this is before I got my power supply, because I really don't need these ribbon cables, but I guess it's always nice to have. Then inside here is just, I decided to pick up a bunch of these because they're pretty cheap and shipping was free, and sort of inputs to work with, and the stickers. Stickers are always nice. So I need to find a place to start putting all these stickers. I guess this must be another sticker on top of here. That's a pretty cool design. It's not just like the same sticker like 10 times over. Alright, let's get in here. I believe... Oh, it's stuck in there. I believe I've just gotten a basic assortment. These should be like 4 HP units, and I'm guessing 8 HP. Then this is probably 12, and then we got the big boys, the 20s. And I just haven't really made too much of a plan yet, but I figured I'd get a healthy variety. And these are pretty cool too. They got little designs on them. And I hear people like to use these to fill in the blank spaces in their synths. Again, I'm super excited and can't wait to get started drilling these out and starting to form some circuits. Sorry for the day and night change. Now, while I really wanted to do one big video where I start working on these modules and put together and get some sounds coming out, I've determined from my research that there's going to be quite a bit to go into this before I can get some good synth sounds coming out. So I think instead of one big video, I'm going to do sort of like a blog style on me building this do-it-yourself modular synth. Now, as I said before, the only thing I'm not building myself is the power supply. I thought it'd be safer not to have to step down the wall power. Now, I could have built a power supply into the case, but I opted instead for a Eurorack mount power supply. I believe most people go with the Micro Zeus for this sort of option, but I have instead gotten a Behringer power supply, and I don't really have any good reasoning why I did that instead of the Micro Zeus, except that I'm still pretty new at this. Well, here we got the CPA-1A Behringer high performance power supply. I actually think Behringer does a pretty nice job at constructing things and their packaging too, because I really thought this packaging was nice in here. Take the foam out, you got it right there. For some reason, most people like to dig on Behringer, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's for their super cheap guitar pedals, but who knows, maybe I'm biased because I had a Behringer bass amp growing up, I use a Behringer mixing board, and I have a Behringer synth, and they've never really done me wrong. And of course, in here we got another sticker. I'll have to find some place to put that. I actually think I might start putting stickers on my synth. Let's see. And here's everything you need. I feel like this video has become more of like an unboxing video. But yeah, we got the, I think they're called takeoff cables or something. And maybe this is why people don't like Behringer, their proprietary power supply. And here we got nifty little thing. I mean, it really didn't look that bad. I probably could have built something myself, but that's just one less thing to worry about. And let me tell you, I've been worrying about this synth. I'm sure anybody who's tried to get into modular synths can tell you it's really complicated. Well, I guess not so much complicated as there's quite a bit going on, and it takes a while to get your mind wrapped around it. But if I've learned anything about the modular synth community, they're more than willing to help you out. So, as far as I know, which isn't that far, you need an oscillator, then to a filter, then through a VCA, voltage controlled amplifier, then lastly an envelope, which seems to be able to affect possibly a few things along this chain. I haven't fully understood it yet, and it seems to be different in different explanations. And of course, I'm not an expert. I'm not trying to make a tutorial on this. I'm just sort of processing what I'm receiving and trying to understand my own words. And also sort of blog about it. Now see, this will produce a signal. Whether or not you hear it is another issue. So I do know that once you have your signal going, you need some sort of output. And with this setup, you'll get one sound coming out. So usually people work on a MIDI in. Yeah, I kind of suck at spelling. So the MIDI makes sense because I think I've looked into this stuff before. From a MIDI, you can get your control voltage output, and you can also get a gate. The control voltage output usually designates the pitch, and it's really smart how they do it because each octave is 1 volt, and then each note is one subdivision of that volt, so 1/12 of a volt. Of course, when you're working with analog systems, sometimes these systems fall out of tune and you have to tune them. So your CV goes into your oscillator, and then the gate I've seen go into oscillators and into envelopes. And I'm sure I'll understand this a little bit better once I get into the project more. And of course, please don't take my word for it. I'm still very much learning, and if I'm making mistakes, feel free to call me out in the comments. Now, what is also very important when you're thinking about making a modular synth is what your purpose is. So I have two purposes right now, short term, long term. So in the short term, I just want it to work. But in the long term, I feel like I'd want to use it as some sort of rhythmic instrument or a complement to my playing in other bands. And I can't see a scenario where I would just want to play it on its own. I've also thought about the possibility of plugging in my instruments into the modular synth and using it as sort of like an effects rack. So eventually I think I would want my ideal modular synth to have plenty of effects, but also a sequencer, and possibly some sort of random CV generator, but I'm not really sure where I'm going to go with that yet. So if I want to produce those classic synth sounds and sequence them, I need those modules I talked about earlier, but I probably don't need anything that would be like a drum machine. So I'll probably fall into the ambient soundscape portion of Eurorack users. Next, importantly, is the box with this do-it-yourself project. So right here, I've got myself sort of a vintage cranberry box. 1983 Deacon's Bros. Now, like I said before, I grabbed this from my parents' farm. They're cranberry growers. I don't know if you could tell, like, where I got the idea for Cranberry King name or why I'm so obsessed with bogs and swamp. It's also great because the cranberry box is very personally relative for me. And everyone who I've told this idea to absolutely loves it. So let's get into the nitty-gritty about the design. Probably the aspect about it that I love the most. So at this moment, the cranberry box insides measure 14 inches by 20 inches. So as we all know, 20 inches will translate to 100 HP. Now the 14 inches is interesting. A lot of space when you only have 2 rows of racks. Not enough for 3, but I think I have a solution for this. So I've decided that I'll have 2 Eurorack shelves, and then I'll have a 1U Eurorack shelf. So I've seen this a lot. There's some debate on which size is right for the 1U, but I don't plan on mounting any actual 1U modules on there. I might just end up sticking with whatever specification looks reasonable, but I'm just going to mount a panel up there. Going back to our previous talk about the synth setup, there might be a few things that we need. These extra things that aren't required in shaping the tone may usually be called utilities. Now there are Eurorack modules for these utilities, but I feel like it might be best just to stick everything up in that top 1U panel that I want to put on the cranberry box. Things like my MIDI in, a guitar in, and then an out, and possibly just a mixer if I have room. So here's sort of an idea for what I'm thinking. You see the top 1U panel is where I'm going to mount like a lot of utility stuff. So like a MIDI in with a CV and gate out, and then a guitar in with adjustable level with some outs. Then finally at the end, an out with a level that goes to another aux or a 1/4-inch jack. Then down here are the modules I feel like I need to start off with. So obviously the power, and then oscillator, filter, VCA, and then envelope. I'm sure once I put together and get my hands on it, I'll have more idea of how it works. But really, the only purpose I have so far is to build the thing and to get decent sound coming out of it. Now, it will be quite the process to put this all together, but I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. Now, each piece of this synth will require some work, so it would be expected that each module might take about 2 weeks or so to build, but I'm sure I'll learn quite a lot. So I sure hope you guys had fun just sitting here and listening to me ramble. And if you have any questions or comments about my setup, or you want to suggest things for me to do, just leave a comment down below. I hope you join me on my next DIY synth blog. Thank you for watching, and good night.